let's get your machine calibrated. It's calibrated at the factory. Any refurbished units from ourselves will be calibrated in-house and tested. But since then, it's been through transit, it's been on forklift trucks, it's been on the back of wagons. So let's make sure to get your first print successful, let's calibrate it and make sure everything's right. To do this, you're going to need your calibration card that's in your accessories box, so get that ready. And then you'll need your XY calibration sheet. And we'll take you through full calibration from start to finish, so we know your first print will be successful. Okay guys, when you're in your home screen and it says ready to print, what we want to do, let's go down to our bottom button, which is our maintenance button, and it brings up settings, maintenance and network. So at this stage, what we want to do, let's hit maintenance. We'll go through, and there are our options from start to finish. We've got to update the firmware, printhead, build plate and diagnostics. So to start, let's hit build plate, and we'll go through our manual leveling first. Manual leveling comes up with your instructions, tells you what you're going to do. Let's hit start and we'll take you through it. Once you've hit calibration, the build plate is going to lift up until it's a few millimeters away from the head. What we're going to do at this point is we're going to set the distance between nozzle 1 and the build plate itself. Now to do this, all the instructions are on screen, but we're going to need the calibration card. So your first step is we want to move and we want to get the bed 1 millimeter away from the actual head. We're going to do this by eye. Later on in the stage we're going to use calibration cards and things like that. But for step 1, we'll just do it by eye and we'll get it a millimeter away from the bed. We do this by the controls on the screen. We've got the up arrow and the down arrow. Up arrow is going to move the bed closer to the head. Down arrow is going to do exactly the opposite as you'd expect. So you hit up and then we'll get closer to the machine. So what we do is we do it step by step and we'll move the bed all the way up to the head until we end up a millimeter away. What we don't want to do is make contact just yet with the nozzle. It's always good, a quick tip, if you look from an angle you can see in the reflection and you can see the gap perfectly. So I don't know about you, that looks like a millimeter to me. Okay guys, once we're a millimeter away, we hit confirm, and what it's going to do then, it's going to move us to the right corner. Now this time, we're not going with buttons on the screen, we've got these screws on the underneath of the build plate. Now what we want to do, is you want to turn the screws anti-clockwise, to move them away, and then clockwise to move them closer. So all we're doing here, just the same as the first one we're doing with the controls on the screen, we're just going to turn the screws until we get them a millimeter away from the bed. The best way to check, and again a top tip, once you've finished, let your hand away from the screw because it's very easy to move the bed with your hand. And we're talking about a millimeter here, so the pressure that you put on that screw will make it touch the head. So every time you take a turn, take your hand away, check for a millimeter away from the bed itself. So on this one, we're just going to move it ever so slightly away, and there we are, a millimeter. Hit confirm. We're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to do it on the opposite corner. Okay guys, the next stage in your manual leveling process, you're going to need your calibration card out your accessories kit that we showed you earlier on. What we do with this is we'll slide it under the nozzle and between the bed. What we're looking for is a bit of resistance. So a quick tip, if you're putting it between, you might as well keep it moving. And then as you adjust, you'll gradually feel the tension come up and get a little bit of tension between the actual nozzle and the build plate, and then you're in the right area. Once you're happy where you get the actual resistance, hit confirm, and then we're going to move on to the corner like we did before. Now it's the same as before, but instead of using the screen controls, we're going to be using screw controls in the corners like we used in the last section. So again, just keep it moving, bit of a turn on the screw until you feel resistance, bit of resistance, and we'll move on to the left corner. Okay, this what we're doing is the offset calibration. So we're basically doing this again in the middle with the calibration card between the bed and the hot end. And we do exactly the same thing, keep it moving, and we'll just move the bed up until it reaches the nozzle and we get a bit of resistance. All this is creating the difference in height offset between your nozzle 1 and nozzle 2. So you got a little bit more movement on this one, and there we go, a little bit of resistance, and we'll hit confirm, and that's your manual leveling process done.
Right, what we're going to do next, guys, is take you through the lift switch calibration. This is the calibration to check the lift switch on the side, which lifts the secondary nozzle. That makes sure that it fits in the lift switching slot here. This is very key for printing, because if the second nozzle doesn't switch, it means you can be printing at different heights or with interference. So what we're going to do, go down to settings, maintenance, printhead, calibrate lift switch. This is going to take you through a lift switch calibration, and as we've done before, it takes you through on the screen. First thing it's telling us to do is to pull the lift switch to the front of the printhead. Then it tells us to move the printhead into the switching bay. Next it's going to calibrate the lift switch. What you're looking for is the nozzle switching here. If you don't see this, I suggest you go through the process again. But since that's done it very well, I want to hit confirm. And your lift switch is now calibrated. Okay, so the last calibration we're going to go through is the XY calibration. Okay. We would definitely suggest doing this because, as Chris mentioned before, in transit something could have shifted, and it's just good to make sure that your first one's going to be successful. We're going to go to settings, maintenance, printhead, and calibrate XY offset. Now this calibration will do the active leveling for you as well, so this is going to calibrate the bed itself. Start calibration. So the printer will now finish the XY calibration print. This takes a while, so we time lapsed it for you. Now what you're going to have to do is going to get the glass plate off the bed and plop it on this sheet.
Pull the pins out, same way as we did it to put it on, exactly the opposite.
Now the first thing you're going to want to do is line up the top section with the square on the sheet. What you're looking for is where the top lines and the bottom lines meet up. So where two lines match, that's the value you want to put into the printer. So on this side is 0, so you want to put that in. So let's put that into the printer. Confirm that it's out. And this takes you through the calibration itself. So now on the X side we just set it with 0, and it's already set at 0, so we can press confirm. Now we're going to check the Y offset, which is +1. +1 on the screen, and we hit confirm. And that finishes off the XY calibration.